Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 and soon Airbus A330 pilot, and in today's video I want to talk about how did I get to fly the Boeing 737 and how did I get to fly the A330. Did I simply like those aircraft so much that I chose to fly on them, or was there a little bit more behind it? Alright, let's head right into it. Many flight simmers do believe, or have actually asked me over the course of my channel's existence, if pilots can simply choose like, hey, I want to fly a Boeing 737, or hey, I want to fly the A330, and in many cases I was even asked something like, hey, aircraft XYZ is a lot nicer than what you are flying, don't you want to fly that as well? Or don't you want to try something new, or you name it. Well, the answer to that is not as simple. Now, in some legacy airlines, like for example Lufthansa, pilots get to choose the aircraft type they want to fly, and they can apply to fly certain types of aircraft or certain fleets. Now, things aren't that easy on the overall aviation market. So, when I graduated from flight school, I was basically left with, I need to get that first job that earns me some flying experience that I can then use in order to get onto what I want to fly. Now, very soon before I finished my flight training, a major airline in my country went bankrupt, and so a lot of experienced pilots who were mostly flying the Airbus A320 and A330 fleets in that airline basically flooded the market, and obviously for an airline it is quite a bit cheaper to hire and train somebody who's got flying experience, especially if it is on the aircraft type in question already, than it is to hire a cadet right out of flight school. In order to hire somebody who's already got a type rating, it only takes a couple simulator sessions as a transition course, plus a little bit of theory to get the pilots familiar with the airline's procedures, and that basically finishes the training. There is a little bit of line training as well, of course, but if you have, let's say, a pilot from an Airbus A320 joining another airline on an Airbus A320, the training required will be minimal. Compared to that is somebody who came right out of flight school, me at the time, with no airline flying experience at all. Those people do not only need a complete type rating, costing the airline something in the region between 25 to 30,000 euros, they also need an extensive line training in which they need to be acquainted to line operations, which in my last airline took usually something in the region of about between 2 and 4 months. So the investment an airline is taking in hiring a new pilot without any flight experience is a lot greater than the investment an airline would make into hiring somebody who has already flown the aircraft in question before in another airline. For that reason, my choices were rather limited, and I could basically choose between going on the Boeing 737 with the operator who hired me at the end, or I could choose between going on the A320 abroad in an Eastern European country. Those were basically my two options. And apart from that, pretty much any other airline that was hiring pilots at that time was not looking for cadets without flight experience, but for the guys from the airline that went bankrupt just before I completed my training. So for my very first job, I basically didn't even get to decide like, hey, I want to fly that aircraft. It was like, if I want to be close to home, it is the Boeing 737. Now, that was quite a lucky case for me, because I always liked the Boeing 737, and indeed at the time where I joined my first airline, I had at least 1,000 hours, I didn't count them, on the PMDG 737 already. So the 737 was one of my favorite aircraft at that time anyway, and I got to fly it. Superb. But it's not always that easy. Let's say I wanted to fly, for example, an Airbus A350. Then the only option in the entire world I see at the moment to fly an A350 would be to apply for Qatar Airways. But they don't even guarantee that you are going to get that aircraft. You might as well get the 737 MAX or the 777 or the 787. So it's not that easy. Now, after I got a couple thousand hours on the Boeing 737, the doors in other airlines were pretty much open, and I had a better way to decide where I want to fly and what I want to fly. So at that point, the typical flight simmer's question definitely comes in again. So do you just choose the aircraft type that you want to fly and then find a job on that? Well, not that easy. For pilots flying in a major airline like Lufthansa, they definitely get to choose, but even then I do have a friend who flies in Lufthansa and he is based in Munich, and if he wanted to fly the Boeing 747, for example, he would have to move to Frankfurt. So even there, the choice is not all that easy. However, back to the topic. So I did have the choice between the airline I wanted to go to, but choosing the aircraft type is once again not all that easy, because first of all you need to find an airline that is actually hiring on that aircraft type with the qualifications you have. Then you need to choose the place where you want to live, basically based on that decision. So choosing a certain airline for, or rather choosing a certain aircraft type, for most pilots will come along at choosing a whole different place to live and a whole different lifestyle. So choosing the aircraft type is not really something you want to do. What you want to do as a pilot is to choose the type of lifestyle that you want to have and maybe the place where you want to be. So it's typically a choice between the two, or with a bit of luck you can have both at the same time. So let's have a look into what that looks like for me now. Basically, I had the choice between continuing on short haul or medium haul like I did before on the Boeing 737, or going to long haul. Now, if I wanted to go to long haul, there would have been two options available for me, one of them operating the Boeing 777, the other one the Airbus A330. Now, that's where the second point, living close to where you want to be, comes into play. So, let's take a practical example. If you have a look at the airlines operating out of Frankfurt Airport who are basing pilots over there, you are mostly going to find pilots being based there who are not natively from Frankfurt or even anywhere close to the area. Basically, pilots based in Frankfurt will be born all across Germany, and the reason they went to Frankfurt is because they found a job over there. Now, it will be quite similar for me as well, but I've been rather lucky in that Frankfurt is not that far from the place where I actually want to live, so that basically covered my choice if I wanted to go on long haul or if I wanted to go on short to medium haul, because if I went short to medium haul, I would have to live very close by so that I can easily drive to the airport every single time. Now, that is not exactly what I wanted to do because of other matters in life. So for that reason I choose the option where I can commute, and that obviously is the long haul option, since you are only going to be required to drive to work like 3 or maybe 4 times per month. And if we took the two together, like a base that is close to home and a lifestyle that suits the general way how I want to live and where I want to live, then the one thing you will not find in that equation is the aircraft type. But there was only a job available on a single aircraft type, and it was a really cool coincidence that this job was on the Airbus A330, so an aircraft type that I really wanted to fly, and in a lifestyle that I really wanted to have as well, like flying to holiday destinations, flying to the United States, and seeing lots of the world, and most importantly seeing those beautiful passenger tourist destinations rather than, for example, the big freight hubs of the world. So that is what led me to flying, or rather to start training on the Airbus A330 very soon. You see, it's not as easy as a pilot can say like, hey, I find aircraft type XYZ really cool, I want to fly that. No, that's not how it works. The way it works is that you see where do you want to be, what kind of lifestyle do you want to have, and then you check for the jobs available to suit those two, and you find the best compromise between the two. Now, in my case, that worked out really well, and there was something available that was really close to what I wanted to do and the lifestyle I wanted to have, and just by chance, it happened to be in an aircraft type that I really wanted to fly. So I hope this one helps you, and I hope that this sheds a little bit light into the decision-making process of a pilot, like, hey, which aircraft type do I want to fly? It is normally not about the aircraft. The aircraft is something that you work on, the aircraft is your office, but how many of you actually get to choose exactly which office they want to stay in? It is the same with aircraft for pilots. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this one interesting. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to read what you think, and maybe there are some pilots among you who want to share their stories as well. Anyway, for now, thank you for watching, and as always, if you like what I'm doing, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love the channel, I would appreciate to see you as a channel member, which is going to give you exclusive early access to new videos before they're released for anyone else. Or if you prefer one-time support, then there is always the Buy Me a Coffee link available in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again, hopefully very soon.